and welcome. You're watching Newsx and I'm Megha Sharma. The hostage crisis in Pakistan continues. As per reports, there is tense standoff between the Baloch Liberation Army and the Pakistani Army. The BLA has released videos of how it has carried out the ambush, while Pakistani government continues to release little information about the incident and claims that there are 30 militants that have been killed. There are 250 people that are still being held hostage and 190 have been rescued by the Pakistani Army, is what the current establishment in the country claims. We're getting information that the BLA has released a statement on the Pakistan train hijack. The BLA has said that there is complete control on the train that has been maintained by them. The Baloch army has said that there are 200 serving personnel that are in their custody. So those are interesting developments. The claim that is right now being made by the Baloch army is that the 200 people that are being held hostage by the Baloch Liberation Army are in fact Pakistani forces personnel and not Pakistani civilians. So does that change things in terms of the negotiations that the Baloch army is wanting to have with the Pakistani forces, with the Pakistani army? Let's try to understand that. I have with me on the telecast Major General G.G. Dwivedi. Sir, the developments fast paced right now, 200 and more people in the custody in a hostage situation with the Baloch army, and the big claim being made that all 200 of them are in fact personnel of the Pakistani army.
Megha, I think the whole situation changes in case the personnel who are held hostages are the army personnel or belong to security forces, because this gives it a different complexion altogether. Because if it are civilians, then the negotiation will proceed on a different platform. But in case they are the hostages are the security forces people, then the situation becomes very complex. Then there are 2-3 issues that need to be addressed. Firstly, it is the BLA's very bold action and a very professional action as to how they have taken this train as hostage, where about 200 security personnel are reported to be the ones who are in custody. The second point is that how the Pakistan army is going to negotiate, because then the negotiation itself gets very, very complex, because it is the security personnel and there is a very prime, I would say, catch or a very prime negotiation point, because PLA then holds the trump card. But I like to mention 2-3 important issues, Megha, which for the, for the information of the viewers is very important. Firstly, BLA, that is the Baloch Liberation Army, has been waging resistance and insurgency for last almost 20-30 years, because they feel that the people of Baloch are being given a raw deal and they are being actually taken for a ride, because all the resources and all the prosperity is not percolating to the local people. It is all being siphoned off either by Pakistani government and now by the Chinese through the BRI. The second point, which is very important, is I think the Pakistan game plan of having terrorist insurgents as the trump card is running out. I think the bus they are riding so, hopefully or so confidently is today shedding the wheels, and this is a very, very important development, because it's going to have cascading effect on the other outlying states like Khyber Pakhtunkhwa and also Gilgit-Baltistan and POK. So all I can say, Megha, is that the situation is very grim for the Pakistan army in case these hostages are from security forces or from the army, and it's going to be a very tough negotiation because BLA has the upper hand and also holds the trump card.
Yeah, we're also getting information, G.G. Dwivedi, that finally we have gotten this information after 24 hours that the Baloch Liberation Army is demanding immediate exchange of prisoners. The army has warned that hostages will be punished Hostages will be taken to Baloch court and trial will be done for genocide and atrocities that have been meted by the Pakistani army on Baloch people. And okay, so that's the big statement. Javed Rana, here a situation where an operation has been conducted by the Baloch Liberation Army. It has been performed with utmost complexity, because right from the time that there has been a train that has started from Quetta, it was headed to Peshawar. The Baloch Liberation Army commanders, the rebels over there, the militants knew who were the people who were the passengers in the train. They knew exactly that there were some 200 personnel of the Pakistani army that were in fact in the train. They have held them back, asked the rest of the passengers, the civilians, to return, including Pakistani nationals who are women and children, and now they demand that the Baloch prisoners that have been in the custody of the Pakistani authorities be released in exchange for the hostages. I would request you to unmute yourself. All right, so that's the big demand. Immediate exchange of prisoners is what the Baloch Liberation Army has been demanding, as had been anticipated. Yes, Javed, go ahead.
The point I was trying to make was the situation is very complex. We have a lot of claims from the BLA, which is a terrorist group, and they are saying that there are 200 Pakistani soldiers or the members of the intelligence agencies are there. I think it looks like a bit exaggerated. According to the different reports, from 430 to 500 passengers were there. Certainly there are members of the military, probably they run into dozens. What is their exact number? It is anybody's guess. Now, what has been the standard
But why
practice?
should it be anybody's guess? Because, why cannot information be extracted from the Pakistani railway authorities? How many number of people were there in the train? What was their identity?
Let me explain. Reason being is that most of the policemen or military men, soldiers who travel in the train, usually they don't take their cards along with them. I mean, that has been the standard practice, unwritten rules, by which it means that the very first thing that the Baloch rebels ask to the passengers, mostly because this is not the first time the similar incident has happened, they look for the identification. Who's the Baloch among them? They will spare them. Who's from the Punjab? They would kill them, or they will make them hostage. Or from Sindh, they have been making people from Sindh also hostage in the past. So that has been the standard practice. So when they don't have a card, so they have some space, some room to manipulate. So by saying that there are 200 personnel of the military,
so do you think the Baloch was smart enough, and this complicated, complex operation that they have been able to execute, the fact that they were very well aware that there were going to be Pakistani army personnel and intelligence forces personnel on aboard that train, and that was the motive for them to orchestrate this hijack successfully?
Look, the information that I have received, again, I can't confirm it 100%, that right now they're also holding some civilians, and there are two suicide bombers who are there, and they are trying to exploit the situation, saying that if their members from Pakistan's custody are not released, they are going to blow themselves up. Again, these are the information that is in tidbit. We don't know what exact situation is. What we certainly know that some members of the Pakistan military have been killed. These, and how many of them are whether they are 6 or they are more in number, we don't know. But and then a large number of them have already been rescued. BLA is claiming that they have set them free, but going by their track record, they have been engaged in ethnic cleansing of people from Punjab. The reason being,
isn't it ethnic cleansing from the Pakistani army that has meted out atrocities on the Baloches for decades together since 1947 that has reduced the population of the Balochi community in Balochistan to a meager single percentage points?
Mega is not applicable on Pakistan military that it is engaged in ethnic cleansing in Balochistan. Reason being is that remember Baloch and Pashtun in Balochistan province, which is the biggest province in Pakistan in terms of territory. It is around 40 to 43% of Pakistan's entire territory. And then the population is bare minimum. It's just 15, around about 14 to 15 million people in biggest territorial province. So there can be irritants, and this is a bigger problem for Pakistan. This is a wake-up call for Pakistan. Yes, there is no doubt that the Baloch population has been discriminated in terms of development. Much of the development has taken place in the rest of the three provinces in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, in Punjab and Sindh. But again, the benefits of the developments have not trickled down in Balochistan province. Yes, there are genuine complaints that the significant numbers of the people, which run into hundreds, they have gone missing, and there are genuine suspicions that they are under the custody of countries' intelligence agencies, and then there are also genuine resentment amongst some segments of the Baloch population that they have been held in illegal custody without any court trial. And then also there are genuine concerns that there is no representative government in Balochistan. The last election that were held in Pakistan about a year ago, there was a large-scale fraudulent elections. There is an unrepresentative government in Balochistan.
How do you justify, 5 civil wars that have been initiated, that have been started and have carried out for years together by the Balochi people? It's not just Balochistan. There have been rebels from Pakistan occupied Kashmir. The Tehreek-e-Taliban have also started initiating attacks on the military establishment in Pakistan, rebelling, wanting their own land, wanting freedom and independence from Pakistan. In wake of the atrocities that have been meted out, systematic cleansing of these communities, so that the dominant Punjabi community continues to be the strong establishment, which is what the Pakistani army is made out of. And do you think this is come to backfire Pakistan in a really bad way?
I think there is an element of blowing the situation out of proportion. There are problems in Balochistan province, and there is a genuine resentment within some segments of the Baloch population. But if somebody thinks that this can lead to a separation of a Balochistan as a separate country, I think they are living in fool's paradise. This is certainly not possible. These irritants would continue, and I think bigger part of the problem is not India, but India has a contributing role in terms of providing them funding.
How has India provided funding? What proof do you have that India has provided funding? You continue to make claims that Afghanistan Taliban government is the one that is supporting Balochi movement, and don't you think you are the one who is the terror hub? You are the one who has been giving safe havens in Abbottabad to Osama bin Laden, Hafiz Saeed, Lashkar-e-Toiba, Jaish-e-Mohammed, Jamaat-ud-Dawa. They are all homegrown terrorists who have built their organizations in Pakistan with the support, with the financial aid that is provided by the Pakistan army, by the ISI, who have been spreading terror in Kashmir, who have been spreading terror against India through the Khalistani wing that they have also been able to create. There are a number of questions, Javed Rana, and you at this point of time pointing fingers at India is not really going to help your cause. Let's take a look at this other development that has come in. The Pakistani army has sent 200 coffins to Quetta, and the coffins are stationed at Quetta railway station. Pakistan government has prepared for the worst. There are 214 hostages still in the BLA custody. I am also being joined by Major General Shashi Asthana. Shashi Asthana, a situation very tense. Do you think the Baloch Liberation Army is going to at this particular stage, this particular time, be able to get its way, which is to have its prisoners released from Pakistani jails?
See, this is a very serious hijacking case wherein the Baluch Liberation Army, and it's not only the Baluch Liberation Army, all the Baluch terror groups or insurgent groups, they have combined together. And this operation is like a military operation with fair amount of intelligence and fair amount of precision, which they have been able to adopt. Now there are conflicting narratives, as the previous speaker was trying to mention, that Baluch, they have released their videos, and they claim that there are 214 Pakistani soldiers with them, as well as, in addition, all the ladies and children have been released by them voluntarily. And after the train stopped, thereafter they have done this sifting of the people, all the hostages, and having released the others, they have retained the Pakistani military personals. Now, some of them have been killed. The exact number can be anything between 20 to 40. These are the varying figures coming from various media sources. That's one part. The second most important thing is that the narrative of BLA seems to be little more convincing for the simple reason, because we have fought insurgency for so long. For an insurgent group to survive, they have to keep the population on their side. So they couldn't be seen killing civilians and children, because if they do so, the civilians provide them all the intelligence, logistic support, etc., etc. So therefore, they will not like to annoy civilians for their own survival. That's a basic principle, because in an insurgency or counter-insurgency operation, people are the center of gravity, and you cannot fight a successful operation, whether from the insurgent side or from the counter-insurgency side, unless population is with you. So that makes some sense. That's one part of it. Secondly, as the other panelist was trying to say, let me say in no uncertain terms, TTP as well as the Khyber Pakhtunkhwa province is also equally aggrieved in a manner. They feel that their Pashtuns have been divided. TTP is also targeting Pakistani army, and so are these Baluch groups. And in addition, they are also targeting the Chinese now, because they all feel, as was mentioned very correctly, that Baluch resources are being exploited, no jobs have been created for them, and this China-Pakistan economic corridor has become an exploitation corridor as far as they are concerned. Now, since their targets are Pakistani military in both cases, they have joined resources, they have also joined the intelligence setup of each other, and they are helping out each other. It was also in various international channels I have been seeing in the morning, since morning. I am given to understand that these groups have spoken in Afghanistan as well. So therefore, apparently there is a connection, because the Baluchis are not only in Pakistan, they are in Iran also, and they are in Afghanistan also. And their dream had been Greater Baluchistan. That's a separate part of it. But the biggest chunk of Baluchistan is in Pakistan. So apparently this is the kind of situation. Hostage situation is sensitive, and therefore I am sure that Pakistani military will handle it with that kind of sensitivity, because their own men are involved. And therefore they, even if there may be a release, they may succeed in getting their Baluchi prisoners released in this particular case. Subsequently, obviously, any hostage drama or any hostage action has to end at some point of time. It will end at some point of time. And I am sure the kind of atrocities which have been created by Pakistan army, that is the root cause of their hatred towards Pakistan army. And that perhaps this is not the last incident, and this is also not the first incident. I am sure there are going to be some more incidents like this if the same cycle of violence continues.
Okay. I also have more information. The Pakistani Interior Minister Talal Chaudhary has spoken to a Pakistani news channel, Geo News. He has said that about 70 to 80 terrorists are involved in this train hijack. He claims that the suicide bombers are making small groups of women and children and staying with them. He has further said that this is why the operation is being taken with utmost care. On the telecast with me, Surinder Singh Lali as well. Surinder Singh Lali, situation very tense. What do you make of it? Do you think this is going to go on for days together? And who's going to blink first, the Pakistani army or the Balochis?
Thank you, Megha. It's a pleasure and honor for me to be here. And I'm so glad that you said the breaking news where the Pakistani Interior Minister has broken his Maun word. Otherwise, they've been conveniently silent. And it's the Balochi Liberation Army that has been issuing one statement after the other, educating people on the facts. I mean, Fazlur Rahman is a member of parliament in the National Assembly, just warned them, of the situation in Balochistan, but they didn't worry about it. Akhtar Mangal, is elected Baloch leader, says that not even an inch in Balochistan is under Pakistani control. And then he wasn't allowed to speak for 2 days in the assembly and resigned. And Rana Sanaullah, the former interior minister, was also said that the situation is alarming. So there have been enough indications, and I think 2006, Bukti's killing by Musharraf was really the biggest turning point. But for how long? For how long would the Pakistani dispensation live under a rock and blame anybody else but for themselves? I mean, I'm sure my friend from Pakistan knows, what are half widows. I mean, there are youths missing. It being 44% of the major chunk of land, but none of the dividends go back to them, and they've been conveniently kept out by the high-headed Punjabi dispensation, and especially the journals and the corps commanders who totally take them for granted. They did this mistake, with Bangladesh, and they're still not learning for it. But Megha, my concern is even slightly bigger than that. My concern is now, the way Pakistani army and the country has absolutely fleeced, China into that biggest scam called the CPAC. Now what's going to happen is that the Pakistani army is taken a big hit, because what is binding Pakistan is only the Pakistani army, because the country was purely based on their pathological hatred for Yud and Hanud. And for how long will Pakistani army sell the Islamic children, or if Hindus were not happy with the two-nation theory and hence this happened? I think even this has gone out the window, and my problem is that now China is going to come in, because China has invested money and China is extremely unhappy. The Belt and Road Initiative is dangling in the middle and their men are unsafe. And now with this kind of the internal situation in Pakistan, now they probably will come and say, we need boots on the ground because our ports and our investments are not in safe hands. I mean, they've done already this to Sri Lanka, where they took humble Tota for 99 years. So I don't know. And not only is Pakistan playing with its own self and the 25 crore people, but they're also playing with the geopolitical situation. Because if Pakistan, I don't think is in a position to now refuse China for not allowing them to put boots on the ground, and that changes the situation entirely. And Megha, my last point is sometimes I wonder if it's a weak Pakistan good for us or a strong. Because if they're strong, then they get back on us and they start doing all these nefarious activities. And they're weak, then one day I hope that country doesn't fall apart, because that will probably be one of the biggest humanitarian crises in the world. I mean, there are 25 crore people out of a nuclear state who are totally like headless chickens. So I'm really concerned, because the situation is really deep, because what now the Balochis have done is they've taken it to the next level. I mean, so much so that now even in the Pakistani dispensation and in the Pakistani narrative, there will be a talk before the train hijack and after the train hijack, because this requires a lot of intelligence, and the Pakistani intelligence was probably just caught napping. They didn't know that all of this is happening. It's a very big mammoth effort. I can understand you can hijack a plane because there are maybe 2 entrances, but the size of this level, where 450 people and 214 from the Pakistani army, which is I believe from the 33rd Infantry. So this is going to be a big turning point in Pakistan, and my unsolicited free advice to my friends across the border is that please wake up and smell the coffee, because otherwise there will be 4 Pakistans in the very near future. Thank you, Megha.
Okay, all right. On that note, let's also take a look at what China has said. In its first statement on the train hijack, China says that it strongly condemns this terror attack. China has supported Pakistan in combating terrorism and is ready to strengthen security cooperation with Pakistan. I'm going to come back to you, Major General Dwivedi, about the situation where China has shown its unequivocal support to Pakistan as was expected. It has been fighting the Baloch rebels with Pakistan, and on the other hand there is the Tehreek-e-Taliban Pakistan, which has also been attacking a number of construction projects in the CPEC corridor of the Chinese. Now, precious minerals is what Chinese have been eyeing from Balochistan in Afghanistan, and of course these very important strategic sites in the western part of Pakistan, in the southern part of Pakistan. How do you see the situation? Is China going to be capable of helping the Pakistani army in its fight against the Balochis?
Well, Megha, first and foremost, Chinese have big stakes in Pakistan because firstly, Pakistan is a client state and they virtually actually dictate terms on Pakistan. Pakistan's strategic location is very important for China because not only the minerals, it's the Gwadar port, the warm water port, and Chinese have invested about $65 billion into Pakistan to serve their only strategic interest. The second point is that Chinese have no inhibition to put the boots on the ground. You just see in Myanmar, they already have put their security personnel, that is the PLA personnel, in the Gabba security at Pauchu, at the economic zone, and so also they have already boots on the ground in POK, in Daima Bhasha Dam area. They have the PLA under the Gabba security. So I have no doubt that in time to come, you are going to see PLA presence, maybe in the Gabba security or the security agencies. And I have no doubt that in time to come, like Haban Tota was leased out, Pakistan will have to lease out Gwadar because the kind of debt that is on their head, they just can't escape it. In fact, Chinese have just given them $2 billion lease and deferred the payment because Pakistan is living with a begging bowl, and that is what the destiny is. My last point is, having been defense attaché in China, I have seen how closely Pakistan army and Chinese army work. There's a lot of collusivity among both, and I am sure today Pakistan army cannot handle this situation. They'll more than welcome the PLA to come in because that is the only way they can save their face. And my last point is, I think Pakistan army need to understand that political problems cannot be solved through the military. And Pakistan military has failed totally in handling Pakistan security problem. It's the time that they need to have a relook. Otherwise, Pakistan is in very serious situation and it is slowly going to become the client state of China. Megha.
All right, on that note, I'm out of time. I thank all of you for joining me on the telecast, and thanks for watching Newsx.